towards Ivy, keeping players outside T main, so you can keep the CTs honest should they push it, as well as players towards inner and the halls and proper pop dog positions. So really the full coverage from NRG, that default. And 𝓚 is the most forward player here, peeking with the AWP. He could get an instrumental pick here. Of course, doesn't see anything just yet, but now he's going to start looking towards the bomb site soon enough. Good spot for Freeman.
Tyloo just waiting. Plenty of utility in the hole for NRG. Very patient Tyloo. Some sound cues here and there. Attacker teased, but he does not pull the trigger. Not a footman, it seems. And there's a response. 45 seconds. Not too shabby a time to get the smoke. Got to be real careful of being peeked from the main position when you get mollied out of the ladder room. 35 seconds. Now, how can Tyloo use their utility to thwart the advances of NRG? That's one way to do it, or is it? Through the flame, 𝓚 will get a frag. Fancy still on the site, but that's a little less cover now. 𝓵𝓸 rotating towards the A-bomb site as well. It's a 4v5 situation in favor of NRG, made better by 𝓵𝓬𝓸.
Still, though, time is really an issue, but unfortunately for 𝓚 on the bomb train, can't get anything done. Attacker has to defend, and he can't. And wow, NRG, I felt for a second like perhaps Tyloo with Attacker there slowing everything down in the pop dog position. I believe it was Attacker able to smoke things off at 45 seconds. That's a huge delay on NRG's split into the A site, but 𝓚 found that kill.
The frag
really felt like dominators after that.
The frag from 𝓚 is crazy because it's extremely hard to see through a Molotov when you have an AWP, and he's crouching as well, which makes it even worse, but he still took him out immediately. So that was really impressive from him, and that has completely deleted the money for Tyloo. They have a P250 purchase in this round, and that is about it. So yeah, all of a sudden everything has been made a lot more difficult for Tyloo. And it's weird when you win those scrappy rounds, regardless of the equipment of your opponent, you've got like one person survive and so on. It's so hard to go back to a full buy quickly, especially on the CT side. Can allow your teammate, your opponent rather, to catch up, and that certainly happened here. I'm not sure if that was a collateral we saw earlier from 𝓚, but it is an anti-eco.
Yeah, and it's. Oh, I was gonna make the point that Attacker's gonna try to get another one, maybe of a chance there. 𝓚 with a pistol. Oh my goodness! Attacker finds himself a second kill. That is not too shabby. Looking to try to do whatever he can to make it a little bit more difficult for NRG. But I was going to mention actually before that happened that NRG had been very good at keeping 5 players or close to 5 players alive in all the rounds that they'd won. So their economy was starting to get out of control. But that will help immensely with that very fact. And indeed, we do get ourselves a collateral there from Mr. 𝓚. Beast from the east. And that'll be NRG tying things up 3-3. But back into the bye we go. Tyloo still though, James. No AWP on the CT side just yet.
𝓚's not from Asia, I just want to say. Which is
Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Never mind. Somebody is dead. So is Attacker, so is Freeman, so is 𝓚. How can bring something else to say? That's absolutely crazy. What the hell's going on? 𝓵𝓸 is in connector in a 1 versus 2 situation. Very fast push into the A bomb site from NRG, and it is a war of attrition just down to Ethan now and 𝓵𝓸. The bomb near E-box. I don't know if 𝓵𝓸's seen it. Ethan's making his way in that direction. Oh, it is exposed, so 𝓵𝓸 could rotate. He could be anywhere. He could be going through B, he could be in CT, he could be going towards Ivy, but he's just waiting in connector, and it seems Ethan will at least try and clear the flank by making his way towards B. 𝓵𝓸 starting to have a look. He sees that the bomb is not there. It must have been on the radar at some point of all that action going on. Will he flank the flank now? Or flank the rotation?
What a genius play from 𝓵𝓸, like timing-wise in his head, understanding the timings of rotations if it's Ethan's walking.
He just had a footstep as well. He started running towards the end there, Ethan. Goes for a second plant as well, which gives him extra time, and that's going to be a free one for 𝓵𝓸. A much needed round, but again, while Tyloo win the round, once more they only survive with 1 player. That's a big problem for them. Look at the money on NRG. Before this defuse comes in, Stan has just shy of $10,000 in the bank. This is not the way Tyloo need to be winning rounds. They need to be building money. We're only halfway into the first half. There's plenty more ecos to come if they can only survive with 1 player.
Yeah, and again, it's just more opportunities for NRG to play against no AWP, and that's part of the reason as well why, you know, explosive plays like that can work out, because you can get so many players around these corners pretty quickly, and you don't have to worry about some of these longer channels where the AWP tends to reign supreme. Tyloo, the buy is indeed questionable, but UMP and MP9 are strong in the right circumstances, and surely they'll play them from such circumstances. Attack will make himself some close range engagements, or at least make them possible around the E-box position here. A 4-man setup towards A, standard stuff from Tyloo. NRG will still be playing their default setups more or less, given the positions that they have. Oh, big flash coming in, but it will not cover for Ethan, and Ethan gets himself an easy one.
Yeah, NRG seem really prepared. Like when you see the pushes, the angles, the cover, when they're going for those 15-second bomb plants, there's just no way into the sites. They're really being very meticulous in their approaches towards the A bomb site, which has been pretty cool to see. Seem to be ready for that flashbang. That's a meaty grenade though. But again, it's another 4 versus 5 situation for Tyloo as well. So NRG have repeatedly been able to get that man advantage and capitalize on it, as we've seen. And I spoke earlier about Tyloo just not being able to get that full buy. Once again, we can see somebody's got a UMP, which shows you the struggles that they've been having.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a nightmare. They did get that pistol, they did convert, and so they do actually have still a scoreline that, you know, it's a good scoreline to have, and they have opportunities. They just need to find some crazy clutches, or perhaps NRG, maybe if they are to make mistakes, Tyloo can capitalize. And here comes NRG once again. Bensett close with the AK, gets himself a quick triple. That is fantastic. The bomb's down on the ground as Reese now has to make quick work as he moves towards
my days.
A bomb site, but oh my goodness, Cirque, he's an absolute monster! Oh my god! What the hell, James? Tyloo had everything they needed until Cirque appeared.
Goddamn, online Cirque has made it to LAN. That's exactly what you want to see him doing. Just absolutely disgusting plays like that. That's just unnecessarily savage.
Talk about just taking over the round. This should be the end.
A beautiful effort. Somebody thought he had time to punish the shot from Cirque, but the flicks, man, he's got the flicks for the chicks. And once again, Tyloo are on the USPs with a cameo Deagle and a P250 on Bensett. Man. Another disastrous situation, just not surviving with enough players, not being able to get those full buys out, and there's also Cirque.
And that is exactly why a team like NRG is so dangerous. You have any one of these players that in a clutch situation, if you know they're down and they seem down and out, they can always find some value. And you can see the teasing there for Ethan, but ultimately there's no way that NRG will give up this bomb site with the positions and weapons that they have. And for Tyloo, it's just a case of trying to deny some money, maybe pick up a wayward weapon should NRG overextend, but it doesn't look like they're too interested in doing that. However, they have to figure out what's safe, and then everybody can exit through the safe passage. The only truly safe passage is really Ivy, but there's no one towards that position. So we'll move in towards Bentat, who lurks close, but only a P250. Oh, looks like he's actually above. Okay. So there we go. Safety has been found.
No attack, no, they're not going to really even try to steal a weapon or something. I feel like it's train, and I think you're less likely to get a Mac 10 or something, you know, if you're trying to avoid a bigger kill bonus. I think with the difficulties they're having, check out these Epics cards, by the way, just while I'm mentioning the other bits and bobs. They're pretty interesting. Yeah, while I was mentioning that, I would say I think they should be going for weapons there, because they're buying within an inch of their economy once again. They've got about $500 across the entire team after purchasing. At least they've all got rifles, no AWP, which is key. But we've seen them get some cheeky frags towards the end of other rounds that they've lost. But I really think that they could benefit from collecting a weapon or two. Trying to get a cheeky frag over the smoke is not quite going to work out, and NRG will simply stream into the bomb site, and the round is over. It's a 3 versus 5. However, Tyloo aren't really even in a position to try and save some weapons, because NRG are on both bomb sites, and it will be a complete elimination. There's no answer to any of those challenges from NRG.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful faster round from NRG. And that's one thing to note as well, by the way. In NRG, they've been sprinkling in the aggressive and fast-paced rounds. Mostly they have rounds where they their defaults kind of operate in a kind of a middle pace, in the sense that they're not going really fast, they're not going really slow, and so they're mixing up these paces very, very commonly. And it's as you say, James, NRG quite prepared. They're just working basic defaults here, which is really cool to see, because it also shows that NRG is making a statement to say, we don't need anything else. We need to play any complicated strats or play anything that's too gambly. We can just try to play defaults, and we will rely on our fundamentals, our individual skill, and that should be enough to win this game. And so far, it is looking good for them. They are moving back into the A-bomb side once again. Although somebody's actually found himself a cheeky position here in the smoke. 𝓤𝓸 will spot him, and maybe that's the best opportunity now gone for any damage for the likes of Tyloo.
Too many eco rounds in this half of Tyloo.
Yeah, I don't think they've had an AWP once yet. Still. Imagine that, James. Imagine that. Playing a CT side of train where you don't pick up or buy a single AWP.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
And you won the pistol.
Well, there's still some rounds to win after this one. But again, the pressure will be immense. It will be constant, unrelenting from NRG. They've just got too much money. 𝓂 and Ethan with about $12,000 each is a nasty situation for Tyloo to be in. 𝓤𝓸 left in CT spawn with a P250, hoping somebody comes his way. All of 15 damage done in this round.
What's truly scary as well is that NRG have found, we found 𝓂. When 𝓂 was needed, he turned up. And that's not something you can always count on. And when that's happening, obviously, 𝓂 is such a... He can force himself on another team, just change any situation. That's exactly what we saw. We see Ethan's looking pretty clean and crisp. Ethan perhaps mechanically with a rifle, one of the best players you're going to see in North America, really good, and he's having a fine time as well. Everyone's just sort of just doing their jobs, and it's just working out. The flashiness hasn't really been required except for 𝓂 in that one round. Tyloo looking to try to sink their teeth into this game of train, but it seems all too inconsistent so far for them to find anything. And the other issue is that for Tyloo, we know Tyloo to be a team whereby they've got a lot of great individuals, but they haven't been able to leverage that individual skill into anything on this CT side just yet. They lose a lot of these important jewels. But speaking of not being able to purchase a single AWP, we found ourselves 2 AWPs purchased in one round from Tyloo. So perhaps their fortunes can change. This would be the moment to do it. As a fast play is made towards 𝓤𝒂 by Breeze, applying that pressure immediately, they must surely know that he's there. We'll see 𝓤 looking with one of those 2 AWPs down Ivy, which he, of course, will find at least one player. There's the jump across. Used to bait a shot, try to keep things safe. And then once that smoke starts to dissipate, we'll see the smoke and molly come in from NRG, I'm sure, to gain some position towards the end of Ivy.
The scope warns of some problems here. Surprised he didn't land that one. Had a chance to. Breeze has got the information. 𝓤𝓸 has the bomb, however. Breeze maybe looking for more CT cover. Might look for more than one frag in this position as he realizes he must have an advantage. There is the first one. He knows that one player is in main and only 2 others are on the board at the moment. Breeze taken off the board for the time being. 2 versus 3 now, and 𝓤𝓸, he knows that his position is compromised. Weird situation. Do you try to hold on to the bomb, or do you give it up and try and catch them elsewhere? Well, he's trapped to some degree. Freeman's picked up an AWP. We'll see how he chooses to position. Can see Stan looking for some information. There are a few places that 𝓤𝓸 may have gone to. And man advantage now disappearing. 𝓤𝓸 makes his presence known once again, and Freeman's got an off angle, so 𝓤𝓸 only needs to worry about one position, but he hears the footsteps. He's worried himself. Freeman, oh, he's just moved beforehand, but 𝓤𝓸 is still there. He's got the shadow advantage as well. Trying to bait for Freeman, then there it is. There's a delivery. Smart stuff. Freeman didn't scope in. He didn't want to concede his position. As soon as the Molotov was thrown, once the flames start sounding, he scopes in along with that, but he strafes while he takes that first shot, misses it, but it still works out for Tyloo.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate for NRG to kind of miss the molly there as well. But there you go. There's Tyloo. They pick up the double AWPs. They survive with 2 players. I'm not sure if they must have found the other. Of course, there was one available very close by, so that's cool. And Tyloo, they pick up their 5th round. So it's been an incredibly dominant series of rounds for NRG, but Tyloo is still in this to have a decent enough scoreline on at the end of the first half. 𝓤𝓻, gotta be careful there.
How does he survive?
𝓲𝓻, meanwhile, has opened up Ivy, and this is looking very scary. Ethan straight through with 𝓲𝓻. This is a dangerous situation for Tyloo.
Yeah, we've got two-man rotation from NRG through that smoke towards towards this position right here. The bomb's been dropped in the meantime. Smoke's all over the place. This is inviting variance. We've got somebody in the smoke. We've got 𝓵𝓻 rotating around. So will Ethan even check towards this? Of course he will. Some spray there, some preemptive spray. I don't think he saw anything. He's just got the smarts. 𝓵𝓬𝓸 delivering a kill now. The bomb's still on the floor. Some are picked off in the meantime. They know where 𝓵𝓻 was roughly. Or do they? Well, they do now. 1 versus 2. It's 𝓵𝓻, of course. You can never count him out. A circle on the high ground. 𝓵𝓻's moved closer to the smoke, but he may have heard the footsteps. Does he go up the ladder? Going through the smoke, but circles the angle. And there's round number 8 for NRG.
Yeah, they look so comfortable. Good stop there from NRG to shut that one down. Tyloo, was such a good chance to make things look a little bit better for themselves, but instead now back onto the less than desirable buys. Ethan's been quite the monster, creeping out into those forward positions, entering for his team. Pistols and an MP9. Not a good prospect, not a good look. NRG though. Playing that default again. And, oh, okay, nice flashbang comes in to aid 𝓵𝓻. Picks up that kill, but trade comes in straight away. That's the MP9 gone. Still 4 players left for NRG as they keep running these defaults, and you can't blame them. They've had so much success.
If you ignore the pistol rounds, Tyloo have not been able to get a consecutive round. It's always been win 1, lose the next one, end up on pistols once more. This time they've got 𝓬𝓸 as bonus. 4 versus 4, big headshot from Ethan. Yeah, 𝓤𝓻 there. Look at the synchronization. Beautiful to see. Fancy might get one. Oh, he might catch the bomb actually, but can he cross really? Running out of bullets, got to go for a deep reload. Can't get around the corner, and once again, the angles are there for 2 players. NRG simply outmaneuvering Tyloo in many of these rounds. Some of the executes and executes within the executes, if you know what I mean, have been quite beautiful from NRG in this half, which will soon be over. 1 round remains after this one, and NRG might be good for double figures.
There's a shutdown onto somebody, trying to do what he can.
That's a problem now. 3 of the kill people.
But indeed, a dire prospect at the end of this first half for Tyloo. Maybe only getting 5 rounds out of this, we'll have to see. See some good work there up on the high ground from 𝓤𝓻.
This logo looks like a corporate logo from the 80s of some guy who owns a photocopier company who wants to take over the world.
Yeah, it makes me think of Deus Ex or something, one of those corporations. Deus Ex. Oof, all right, 𝓤𝓻 will find himself an easy open there. It is a decent looking buy with an AWP, and there's not been too many of those for Tyloo, but they will lose somebody straight away, and that is not the best. So how do they recover from this? Do they take any risks, or do they just rely on just playing tighter setups towards that A site? Well, whichever it is.
Seems like summer has come and gone. The leaves are falling down, and they're turning grey. 2 M4s and an AUG for 𝓵𝓻, 𝓵𝓻 and 𝓲𝓻 respectively. And again, Tyloo, I don't even know if they've really had much of a chance to, let's say, make a proactive play on their CT side, bearing in mind at least half of these rounds post-pistol, they've had pistols, ironically, but in the rounds where they've had the rifles and so on, they may not have had enough utility cover from an AWP, so on and so forth, to go for some kind of aggressive play, take main away, for example, apart from that time where the bomb was dropped. They just have to wait, although you can see 𝓵𝓻's taking things into his own hands, moving into that main position, but they're still spread out. They don't have any trade frag situations, and he's going to eat that flashbang all day. He may not have even seen the bomb. 5 versus 2 at 29 seconds on the clock, and again, there's just too many man. 𝓲𝓻 gets shot in the back, leaving 𝓵𝓻 alone. He can't really play time with 3 players surrounding this bomb, including the planter. So what on earth does he do? There's one looking for the cover, and it will pop out eventually for a 10-5 scoreline for NRG at half-time.
Yeah, that was a great scoreline for them. And with that said, we'll have to see if Tyloo can find a recovery as we go to a break.
the phrase that comes to mind. NRG just stretched them. They flayed them in that first half. It was beautiful. They outmaneuvered them. They had all the angles. They had the protractors out. They had the 2 versus 1s. They abused the numbers advantage. But they showed great coordination in a relatively calm manner, which is fantastic, bearing in mind their current situation, still feeling comfortable in the new gloves of the new leader.
I think they were saving strats as well. I think it was one of those kinds of halves for them, because again, if you watch that match over and over, watch those rounds over again, you'll see that they just played defaults, and they just played the only variations really, which was just mostly pacing. So, and sometimes they go for a fast rush, and sometimes they play it really slow. So they're comfortable, James. But this is where Tyloo can do some serious damage. They pick up the pistol. I'm pretty confident they can absolutely string a bunch of rounds together. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they can get off to that good start. And they're going to take things really slow. You know, speaking of pacing, this is extremely slow from Tyloo. NRG are playing really far back themselves, so not much contact to be had just yet.
Not yet. 2 smokes in the hole for Tyloo, so some presence shown, nothing untoward. And NRG not getting too curious, no pushes through IV or anything like that. Sam's got 2 flashes and a diffuse kit. Stark difference from Daps, who would have the smoke and diffuse kit during his reign of NRG. And now we've got the IV smoke grenades, which will help a bomb plant. Very, very crucial. Tak's got some angles, however. Gonna hit a few bodies, but no headshots just yet. And now they try to swarm with the numbers towards the site. So far, so good. P50 for Freeman to take 1 player out. They wait for the boost and punish the boost. Somebody trying to cut off the rotation as well. Nothing but frags for Tyloo. What a turnaround. The bomb's been planted as well.
Yeah, they've done a really good job here. 4 versus 2. Surely this is too much for NRG. We'll have to see. Ethan will make his way forwards, looking for the headshots again. Great mechanics on Mr. Ethan, but he can't quite find the headshots. There's one, though, as now Stan is looking to get himself into the action. And with Ethan distracting on the side, they've managed to get themselves into a 2 versus 2. Now Stan has everything to do, but it will be shut down in the end. There's a good attempt from them. But really, the takeaway for me this round was Tyloo. They played very well, given the way that they used those smokes to force the rotations in front of the smokes, understanding exactly where the defense was going to be standing. But again, with the smokes up, there was just too much of a limited space and cover to work with for the likes of NRG, and Tyloo were able to just shut that down. So great pistol round. However, James, we've got ourselves triple scout. I love this.
Yeah, Tarek's a dab hand with the scout, as is Cirque, obviously, and Stanislaw will see what he can do. I'm sure I've seen him use it before. He's not the first name that comes to mind. Now let's see how meticulous the tees will be. Stanislaw's forced away from his angle already. I don't know if he fired a shot there. If he did, that would be enough warning as to the NRG situation, i.e. force buy. Now, if you are expecting scouts, what is the best way to avoid them? And executing to the B bomb site might be one of the ways. However, at this point, Tyloo have 0 utility. They need to go through these choke points with no flashes, no smokes, no molotovs, nothing. And that is going to be very costly indeed. 2 players being tagged with a HE up top. This could be disastrous for Tyloo.
Yeah, the damage is really immense before the bomb's even gone down. So picks off Attacker as he swings through. And they're all so critically weak except Summer. This is going to be very difficult to hold on to. Only somebody is close or really able to stop them from gaining ground on towards the bomb. He's alone, and he'll get taken down by Stan as Summer will rear his head in the upper position, but he does get tagged by the scout despite getting the kill. They simply need more frags, and speaking of Stan with the scout, he's got the head of Bentet, and it looks like there's not too much to be done here. The scouts reign supreme on train as often they can and do. And the bomb will come, the defuse will come in the nick of time for NRG. Yeah,
I think one of the issues there for Tyloo is moving into the bomb site with literally 0 utility. It makes it harder for them to make it safer to take the train yard, for example, to take control of the choke points and so on. They're just sitting ducks against all of these scouts. There was a pretty close headshot from Stan, which was really important, that one you just saw. Otherwise, maybe 2 of them would have gone down, but yeah, as soon as I saw Tyloo moving in against 3 scouts with no utility, I thought they were probably going to lose the round, to be honest. It's just, I think, and ideally you want to be coming up to where Stan is now, basically, with your SMGs if you can, but with no utility to do that and trying to avoid scout shots, it's pretty risky stuff. And here we are, 11-6, worst case scenario for Tyloo. It is absolutely worst case. It's looking so good with that pistol open.
And now, it's the pistols against the rifles, and we all know how that tends to go. NRG very active, not really playing that passively, and they'll find themselves a forward kill. Fighting over Team A, and it's going very well. 𝓤𝓸 with the USP has a little bit of help there from the likes of 𝓤𝓂. Ooh, good timing on the HE. It's going to find some chip damage onto the likes of somebody in 𝓤𝓸 as they must move forwards as they have to collect the bomb, and Ethan will pick up that one. It's really a free-for-all in terms of who picks up these kills for NRG, and it's going to be 12-6 very shortly. Oh, hello. Somebody's actually crept out. Oh my god, the timing. You can't make it up, James. You cannot make that up. How does he walk forwards there, undetected, and then 𝓤𝓸 decides that I'm going to switch away from my pistol to then now suddenly reload, and 𝓤𝓸's the most weak player. That's just
𝓤𝓂 bought 𝓤𝓂 and ℉𝓂 in the previous round. If he hadn't done that, he'd have 5,400 in this particular round. Now, I don't know how much of a priority NAWP is, for example. I think if anyone can pick one up, then maybe that would be something, but I think more utility could have been had. You can see he's got an AK-47 and a smoke grenade, and that's it. Could have had a Molotov. I feel like he overspent in that round, because I understand that you want to do damage to your opponent's economy. I don't know if the Kevlar was necessary with the Desert Eagle, all things considered, because a Molotov, for example, again, if you put a molly in the ladder room and you're able to have somebody poke out from main and try and punish a rotation, then that could be what you need to start off. But just like on the first half, NRG get a 5 versus 4 to open the round on the second half.
Yeah, now Stan will spot them moving towards that B bomb site, but already with Summer lost, that's no luck. That can play towards that A site, so they don't have to worry about that NRG, and simply just have to take over this bomb site. And you can see right now Tyler's going to creep forwards, but that's a great shot coming in from 𝓵𝓬 to cover Stan for a time, as Freeman will make his way forward, but there's only two left now. The flank is in the hands of Ethan as he comes down the ramp here, biding his time, finds it. 𝓤𝓸 can't defend him. Against him, I should say, and it's another round for the likes of NRG.
Yeah, not really busting a sweat at the moment, NRG. Just gone beyond double the score of their opponent, and they're pretty damn comfortable at present. Everybody nice and calm. Need to get back to winning ways after a shocker versus Dream Eaters. Maybe they can be the Hollow Knights after all.
Yeah, it's looking really nice for them. I love that position that 𝓤𝓂 played in front of the smoke, that off angle, deep with the AWP. You don't really expect that, but it's great at punishing defaults on the T side. And you can see the flashbang came in afterwards, because usually we'll have a second player behind that guy that you killed. Wasn't in that case, but even if there had been, 𝓤𝓂 would have been completely safe for a free 5 versus 4. And CSGO is often about how you get the 5 versus 4, because once you do, if you're a quality team, you should be able to convert a 5 versus 4 at a really high percentage. And so getting it is insanely valuable, especially on the CT side of a map like this.
Interestingly, looking at the vetoes, Tyloo removed Nuke, Overpass, and Vertigo. But if you look at Overpass, NRG are 30% on Overpass in the last 10 maps, and Tyloo are 64. So Tyloo vetoed Overpass, where they have much better stats, in order to allow Train Open, where they have much worse stats, which is something we can maybe look at a little later on. But let's see how this one continues, because Tyloo have finally got an opening frag with plenty of time on the clock. However, they have one rifle and a bunch of pistols, so the online has gone offline in this respect, and now they've got a man advantage, Tyloo, and again they've got time on the clock, but they have to try and keep a mental idea of where these CTs might be. They've got a second rifle, only 2 of the players have got Kevlar. 𝓤𝓂 has the bomb and the CZ75, and he spotted 𝓵𝓬𝓬, and the bomb's been seen as well, which will keep 𝓤𝓂 on the A bomb site. If they can stop the bomb from rotating, they can't. It makes its way into ladder room, and that changes everything. Beautiful angle from 𝓤𝓸. He knows they're going to rotate. That is fantastic from him. 𝓤𝓸, such a star for Tyloo. Gets a 2K towards the end, and Tyloo are not done with this one just yet.
Yeah, there is a chance after all. Very frustrating round for NRG, but well played, Tyloo. Just have to continue. And you can see 𝓤𝓸, he's often a standout. You can see him standing out there for sure. He's 12 for 12 right now. NRG with not the best buy in the world. Taste of their own medicine. Ethan there, quick towards ladder room. He's going to hear those steps, and you can see Stan is ready. However, Tyloo will cut noise, but here is the rotation. Look at this. NRG have got Circ in position now, as well as Tarek, and being really fast on the rotations and maybe making leaps of faith in the rotations is something that you will often do if your buy is not great, because you want to have players in position. You know that's how you win the rounds if you're under-equipped, and Stan might have the right weapon for the job here. Freeman creeping around the corner. The MP9 will be there to meet him. Stan is a bit further away from this angle, so he should likely see the body just first, but it's the right eye versus left eye peak, so it's very, very tight indeed. Who sees each other first right now? That's why you see Stan jiggling as he is, just in case Freeman starts to move. That tiny jiggle will allow Stan to have the pixels he needs to make the call. Freeman goes closer to the angle, and you can see Stan wins that battle, gets the dink, falls back. There's the incendiary, and that's some good info for NRG as well.
Yeah, that was an odd one. No flash or anything. He does not come out of that better. NRG hold the position. Well, Freeman's starting to peek it now, but somebody's been taken out. And there's a 5 versus 4. There are no smokes at this point for NRG. 3 flashbangs, but they still have plenty of position. They've got the ladder in. Tet's gone as well. And Attacker's going to lose the bomb if he loses that duel. Finally, it cost them 2 players and half of one with carrying the bomb just to kill player on the ladder to make their way into the B bomb site. Tarek takes one, leaves Attacker alone now. Can he even plant the bomb? He has to try. Stan's going to go for it with the MP9. And there's a frag for him, no plant, and that one's fallen to absolute pieces for Tyloo. What a disaster.
Yeah, that was really interesting because, first we see that Tyloo likely, they draw the rotation towards the B-bomb site, and that's something that they surely know that that's on purpose, making all those sound cues, that's on purpose to draw the rotation. Then they cut noise, hoping that NRG will either push towards inner or that they will actually just start to go back towards A. But instead of NRG actually hold positions, and it's Stanislaw that actually dismantles that, because Tyloo wanted to go towards B. And you can see they had to go towards Pop Dog. There's nowhere else to go after that point, and then they just walk into favorable duels. It's Tyloo that are once again on the bad buy instead of NRG now. And this is a pivotal moment. NRG playing for map point here.
This is pretty much where the CT stop when they creep into the main position. A lot riskier to go beyond this point, but not necessarily necessary. An exchange of grenades around the main position. Ethan not too concerned with main, of course, because his teammates in there. Sorry, around ladder position, not main position. Actually heard the reload up the ladder, which is some extra info. Oh, the timing is perfect. Perfect timing for Tarek. I was going to say quietly moves away, but he's made a few steps. Oh, he's lining up for a pop flag for his teammates. There it is! Beautiful timing! Sees the bomb, but can't get the second frag, but Tarek is there. And of course, he's still got a smoke down in the main position in the meantime. He hears them trying to force their way through it. Bacon just repositioned all day. They're lining up a breeze. Take a ticket, one by one. Freeman left in main now with 33 seconds on the clock. He needs to find a rifle, ideally. He's got a few grenades. He catches Circ off the angle. 25 seconds. Got to collect the bomb, but where's the last play? It's got to be close. There is the rifle, stand with a crouch peek, close but not quite. It's match point for NRG.
Great deagle shot comes in there, but it's not quite enough. NRG's money does suck, but they only need one more round to win this one, so they'll be happy, very, very happy with their current position. Tyloo with it all to do. Now, this lineup was phenomenal for Breeze. Almost actually picks up that last one, but here's that second lethal deagle shot from Freeman. But it's Mac 10's Tech 9 for Tyloo. It spells disaster, but sometimes these rounds work out. Sometimes the aggression that follows a fight like this works out, but maybe not. We've got Circ there doing some good damage. They line up for Breeze once again, but he's only good for the one. As Tarek gets into the mix, but he'll soon be cast aside. Ethan with the high ground there, down to Attacker against 2. Such a fast moving round, which will now slow down as Attacker tries to work out where the remainders of NRG lay. Does have the bomb at the very least.
He does. He's getting flanked, however. And Ethan's playing it safe as well, moving from old bomb to Ivy. An attacker with so many angles to check. Does Ethan hold his position? This is getting very, very wiry indeed. Felix the wrong place at the wrong time. It will be the end of the match, and indeed he will, and it is. NRG with a very comfortable victory, it has to be said, over Tyloo on train. And again, I do question the vetoes that Tyloo chose. This is the worst map of the maps they play, and it's the map they played in the best of one.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. Perhaps they just feel like they match up better against NRG's style here. Perhaps they saw more weaknesses towards this map, things that they could exploit. It's really hard to say. You know, Counter-Strike is one of those things whereby if a team's having some good practice sessions on a map like Train, maybe they're thinking, hey, we feel good on this map. And sometimes that emotional connection is more important than the statistics for players.
Looking at their previous head-to-head, it was close on Mirage and Inferno, 16-13, 16-14, 16-14. And 16-10 on Overpass, all going in favor of NRG. But it's just really well, I guess, yeah, it is curious. Even with bad stats, I guess NRG are the better team overall. I feel like with the experience, and just because, I mean, partly they play in the West, and I think that counts for a lot when you're not playing in the West so often, and you're playing the kind of Asian Counter-Strike, and you come to the more difficult European/North American. But there we are. It is Train, and it's comfortable for NRG. And here are the scores on the doors. Ethan was the man leading the charge with 25 frags. Some highlight kills for Cirque. We've got some collaterals during some ecos as well. So I think it was a great recovery for NRG considering their first match.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where even though Tyloo are picking up those rounds, indeed it's NRG that are doing all the damage and they're looking like they're in control, even though they're losing the rounds, and that's never a good sign. And as I mentioned, you know, we saw great performances from the likes of Ethan, as we see him on screen here, and also Cirque. You know, two pieces of the NRG puzzle that are very devastating if you get them working. And not only were they working, they weren't having to actually work their playbook.
See, getting it done, and we will see it go 6-5. GT take the onto the M4. It's Lucky and Co against the full eco. Nothing to really write home about this round. They have